Welcome back to Rally DNA in association once again with our kind sponsor, Slip and Grip Automotive. Slip and Grip Automotive are a UK-based motorsport events organizer and members club. They host various event types throughout the year at a number of UK locations, including track days, sprints, tarmac rally testing, and social events. They are also the sole organisers for the Bont Rally stage in Mid Wales, a great tarmac stage providing great prep for crews before tarmac rallies in the UK, Ireland, or further afield. To find out more, visit www.slipandgripautomotive.co.uk. You can find the link in the description of this episode below and make sure to follow them on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Killian Cronin, but I'm just one half of this Anglo-Irish partnership. So as always, joining me from across the Irish Sea is my articulate, passionate and expressive co-host and good mate, Jamie Arkle, creator of the Gravel Coup and the biggest advocate for the Skoda Octavia World Rally Car. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm grand. I mean, I've just had one of my best mates write my epitaph. I mean, that'll go well on my gravestone when I eventually pop my clogs. That's perfect. I couldn't have asked for better. No, thank you very much, man. I'm very well, in a good place, and super excited to talk about Rallylegend.
Yeah, because it's just around the corner now. So it seems like so long ago that we were there and we booked the
Does it?
accommodation. I don't
Seems like
know
30
actually. Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. And I know we booked like this year's accommodation like the week we got back. I don't know. It seems, yeah. I just once I did that so early. I've just been looking at it on in my emails. How long have we got? But yeah, right around the corner. By the time you're listening to this, it'll just be a couple of days away, and we will be getting ready to pack our bags and head out there. So yeah, basically this week Jamie and I are jetting off to Italy once again, taking a drive down to the beautiful Republic of San Marino, which is once again hosting the incredible Rallylegend now in its 21st edition. But before we talk about this year, maybe we should talk about exactly what this event is. If somehow you've stumbled upon this podcast and haven't heard of Rallylegend, which is based out of the San Marino Olympic Stadium. Jamie, how would you best describe this very special event?
The ultimate celebration of rallying history and rally culture that it's possible to get. I mean, it's an event that any self-respecting rally fan really should make tracks to go to, especially as I suspect it can't go on and on forever because it's got that just perfect mix of being safe, but equally a little bit lawless around the edge in the best way possible. Everyone there, from the competitors to the spectators and everyone between, is beyond passionate. Obviously, the roster of cars and drivers is beyond reproach, and and it's in a beautiful country, a beautiful part of a beautiful country, and everyone there is incredibly friendly and nice and welcoming. So, and you can do it all for the cost of, if you were going to spectate a WRC round in Europe and not stay in a tent, I dare say you'd pay more to do that. And I know which I'd be putting my money on. So yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I think the San Marino Tourist Board and the Rallylegend organisers could save that soundbite now and use it to advertise the event.
I will absolutely sell myself on my principles up the river for a small sum.
And it really is for people who are thinking of going, and by the time you listen to this, it's probably too late for you to go. But like just to put in perspective, this will be my fourth time going to Rallylegend, and at no point has flights, accommodation, and a rental vehicle cost me more than €350 all in. So it's incredible value given what you get to experience and witness.
Yeah, I mean, I think our flights we booked quite tardy, about, I don't know, like 2 months ago, and they were like £40 or something for the return. So that's from Stansted to Milan. But yeah, no excuses.
Now, I've been a couple of times, as I said, but last year, Jamie, it was your first taste of it. So after years of seeing video footage and listening to me yammer out on about it, were you prepared for what you met when you arrived?
If anything, I was worried that my sky-high expectations would be too high, and I'm happy to report that was far from the case. And I also, perhaps understandably, given my knowledge of the event prior to going, was watching YouTube footage, which tends to focus almost exclusively on either the stadium or the final event stage, the one in the what appears to be like an old concrete works or something. That was my image of Rallylegend. Obviously, far more than that. It's the nighttime activities, and it's the special stages out in the beautiful Italian countryside. I'm just completely blown away. Obviously, it helped that I was going with yourself and a group of friends. But everyone we met was incredibly friendly. Gave out lots of gravel crew stickers. Met some very passionate Italians, and yeah, I was smitten from the moment I got there, and counting down the days to get back before I'd even left.
There's a few old school Fiat Pandas knocking about that part of the world now with gravel crew stickers emblazoned across the rear windscreen.
Yes, I would stay sober to not play the Fiat Panda drinking game. Otherwise, you'll be well and truly assholed within 10 minutes.
And what stood out to you the most last year? Would you have like a highlight amongst the car selection, or any particular highlights from the stages in terms of the action you saw out there?
Oh, I mean, stage wise, it's impossible really to pick an absolute standout. I mean, my favorites were probably standing by the start finish on the Friday night, watching Group B. I mean, of course, the difference is, I've been to many UK based backward, rearward looking rally events, or retro rather, and they're all really good and really, really worth going to. But there's always the suspicion that, for understandable reasons, the people with the cars aren't driving anywhere near 10/10ths. And you only have to be at one stage at Rallylegend to realize that is not the case over there. These people are, driving S1 E2 Quattros as if it was 1986. It's very full on, and very leery, and standing at 8 p.m. In the gathering dusk, watching Quattros and Delta S4s take off like the proverbial scolded cat was everything I was hoped. There's also a sort of something quite intoxicating about getting a bit blasé about otherwise ridiculously impressive cars, like it's another Lancia 037. I've seen 7 of those, and occasionally you have to pinch yourself. It's like if I was at home, this is a car that I would,
you break your neck to look at.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Another one, common as muck. Yeah. These things. They're giving them away in a lease package.
Exactly that. But if I had to choose a particular stage, either in a hairpin we were stood at with the fellas with the extraordinary Fiat Panda that converted into a sort of pop-out viewing platform, which was pretty good. I remember getting quite inebriated and sunburnt on that day. And then I think the following day, when we managed to get to a really good spot behind some Armco on a good hairpin, and it was all that's exactly what I kind of had in mind from Rallylegend, that particular bit.
Yeah, that was the three corners into the last special stage before they went to the legend stage again. So we were looking down at the start line, and then they would come down hairpin, and we were at the next hairpin, where we got to see newly minted world champion at the time, Calero from Pera, fling his or not his, but his boss's Celica ST 185 around with sheer abandon.
Nice work if you can get it.
Yeah, which was funny given how seriously his boss was taking proceedings. The most serious man at the whole event was Jari Matti-Latvala. He was going out to win it, and there was no sliding because that was not fast.
On rails.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sheer variety of cars, and to focus on the Group B and Group A heavyweights would be to do the whole event a disservice. It's all there from Kraken Mark IIs to 131 Abarths, lots of Group 4 stuff. And lots of older stuff, Fulvias and the like. It's the complete package. If you're only going to do one historic or non-contemporary rally I dare say that's the one to go for in my experience. Having said that, I've never been to the Eiffel Rally Festival, so it's probably not a fair thing to say. But it can't be any better, right? It can only tie.
And we're not being paid by the organisers to say this either. Should be made clear. But unless they want to pay us, of course, in which case we'll keep saying it. But my email address can be found somewhere. Yes, I mean, you look at the other ones. I mean, there is no shortage of these show events. They seem to be becoming more and more popular, more and more prevalent. But they seem to be trying to aspire to this. And I think, look, the setting plays a big part for Rallylegend as well. I think maybe there's a bit of an alignment of the stars, as it were, that adds a bit more to the atmosphere and how it looks and how it comes across and the accessibility for everyone. Although obviously the quality of cars at the likes of Eiffel is also superb. Though looking at some of the entries for the other show events, there doesn't seem to be quite as many as well as what you get at Rallylegend. The sheer volume of historic vehicles is massive.
I think the fact, and you're completely right, absolutely. But I think the fact that it's got this kind of cult appeal about Rallylegend, it's been, you have to have been, to be a rally fan, you really have to have lived under a rock for the last 2 decades now to have not been aware of Rallylegend. A slow grassroots build up from the early noughties to now where it kind of is the premier oldie worldy rally event, and that kind of means a lot. And you can see it, as you say, in the entry list. It's a who's who of WRC champions and 90s and noughties WRC regulars. Yeah, best place in the world.
Which probably should bring us neatly to maybe some key points of this year's 21st edition. Some of the highlights to include, I suppose, we'll go back to some of those stars you mentioned. Just we could be here a while listing all of the star drivers, but just to give you a flavour, we'll see Mickey Biazian, Francois Delacour, Piero Liatti, Alistair McRae, Andrea Aghini, Jamie McRae, Stig Blomqvist in an S1E2.
That's the standout, isn't it? In historic spec. I mean, from a historic mindset, like that is. There's not a rally fan in the world who shouldn't have their pulse quickened a little bit by that combination.
Yeah, because they're all going to be driving the period cars as well. It's not getting out for a spin in a new thing or an even older car. It's Delacour in an Escort RS Cosworth, Biazian in an Integrale, Alistair McRae in an Impreza 555, and Blomqvist in an S1E2, which is just incredible. Like, we shouldn't be able to see Stig Blomqvist drive an S1E2 in real life, and that should be a thing of YouTube. But here we go. This is where you can find it.
And you can have a well mixed Negroni while you do it in Rallylegend. So it's very civilized,
very bourgeois
until it's not.
There too many. It's also a celebration of Juha Kankkinen's 4 world titles, as it is now 30 years since his final one, and he will also be attending. And there will be some sort of open to the public party, according to the website, to celebrate that, whatever that may mean. It's also the 30th anniversary of the launch of the Group A Impreza 555, which has been celebrated with a gathering of some of the most famous 555 Imprezas and being piloted by some star drivers, with the latest one just being added to the list being N1 WRC, in which Colin McRae won the 1996 Rally Catalunya, the last event Colin would win in a Group A Impreza, which would, I guess, make it the last event that a Group A Impreza won.
There's a strong legendary Irish lineup contingent as well this year as well, haven't we? In terms of Austin McHale, Ray Breen, and Nesbitt and co. It's going to be quite something.
Absolutely, Donna Kelly in his M3, Thomas Fitzmaurice in the only Impreza S12C, which is always a highlight of mine to see whenever I do get to see it. So yeah, strong contingent of paddies going out, and will be represented by many Irish fans going out there too. I suppose some other highlights for me from this year, looking down the entry list, there's 2 Ibiza Evo 2 kit cars. We've got 2 Audi S1 Rallycross EKS supercars driven by current World Rallycross drivers Johan Kristoffersson and Ole Christian Veiby, who may pop up in this podcast a little bit later. We've got 2 of the current Rally 1 cars, Yaris and an I-20. The Yaris being shared by Lorenzo Bertelli and Jari Matti Latvala, who will only drive it for show runs, and the best sounding anti-lag king of them all, the Escort World Rally car.
Hit me to the post on that. That was exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, cracking and innumerate focused WRCs.
More Lancias than you can shake a bottle of martini at.
A Quattro S1 in Pikes Peak flavor. Yeah, it's going to be the. Oh, and of course, everyone's favorite triumph of marketing over engineering finesse, the 307 WRC.
Yes, I did see that one down the list.
Well, we're of course lacking the best rally car in the world. There's no Octavia, but it can't be perfect. There is, however, an accent WRC for Marcello Biotto. So
that's representing the also runs of the 2-liter World
Rally
car era.
Exactly, the triumvirate of also ran wooden spoon contenders.
Which is all the more frustrating is that there is someone in attendance who has an Octavia Evo 2 and didn't bring it, or he's bringing an Impreza rather instead. So, that's a shame.
We need a Cordoba as well now.
We need to start our own celebration of rallying history just with those 3 cars together. Have they been reunited in one place since? Who knows?
The anti-heroes. But yes, no, it's grand. I mean, even and also away from watching the rally cars, I mean the service park and the stadium. I remember me and you stood there with the sun going down on the first day or whatever it was, and you just have to pinch yourself. Start seeing, I don't know, 200 odd rally cars that with representing every single era and category of note. Yeah, all parked side by side. Beautiful weather, fantastic people. I couldn't, as you can probably tell, I couldn't wax lyrical enough about it.
And it's the fact that you couldn't possibly get closer to these cars in the service park. There's nothing to keep the public away. If there's a car up on stands or parked under a canopy, you can wander right up to it, and people are very happy to engage you in conversation about it. Sit in, have a look, get as close as you like. The people there are very happy to display their cars and let people appreciate them. For the rarity that you get to see them. Which is, wandering the service park alone is a highlight in itself, not just seeing the cars on the move and in flight. I think for me anyway.
Yeah, and from the drivers we spoke to, everyone is, as you say, completely down to earth and happy to talk about the minutiae of rallying back in the day.
Well, I think and that might be enough of us two, as Jamie put it, waxing lyrical about the event. So maybe it's time to have a chat with some people who will also be in attendance in a slightly different capacity than us. We now welcome TV presenter, WRC commentator, and all-round nice chap, Mr. Mike Chen. And I'm sure his voice may be familiar to all listening, as Mike has spent a great deal of time around the World Rally Championship over the years, even once competing in Wales Rally GB a few years back as part of the series Going Straight Sideways. Now, fresh from a relatively recent trip to Ireland to do the Ravens Rock Rally in a Super 2000 Fabia in honour of his late friend and the dearly missed Craig Breen. He is, like us, bound for San Marino in the coming days, albeit, unlike us, he will be back in a rally car. Mike, you're very welcome along, and thanks for giving us your time.
You're most welcome. I think that was a hell of an introduction, Killian. And I think there's a lot of people there who've just gone, oh, not this guy again, and just switched off. You shouldn't have done it. It was too much of an intro.
I can trim it. I can trim it. It's not too late.
No, thanks for having me along, fellas.
Thanks for coming along. So, I mean, I must admit, one of the things that obviously we're going back to the Ravens Rock Rally, a very poignant event, especially this year. And I think the thing that always struck me this year was the quote on that Skoda. I think it's a fantastic mix. I mean, that from the poignant to the straight up hilarious. I mean, it seems to be a really fitting reflection of Craig's personality in car form. How did you go about amassing them? I mean, it must have been quite an entertaining process.
Yeah, look, it was, and the way you've described it is brilliant, because that's exactly what we were trying to do. It was to cover all of Craig's personality and bring him as best as we could to the Ravens Rock, and as it's turned out, which we'll talk about in a bit, other rallies as well. But because he was such a funny, he was just like such a down to earth, funny, entertaining guy, but very emotional as well. So there was a mixture of funny quotes on it and emotional quotes, and I think everybody could relate to the car in one way or another. And it's certainly, you couldn't look at it, read those quotes and not think of Craig Breen. So it's nice that you've got that as well, that came across. But basically, we decided, myself and Sean Hassett decided we were going to do the rally in memory of Craig, and we had to come up with an idea of what we could do that would be fitting, and as we said, do our best to bring our friend to the rally. And we came up with this idea of just coming up with quotes, because there were so many, and that's what made Craig, one of the things, the many things actually, that made Craig so likeable, so liked, so famous in the WRC and part of the rallying world at home in Ireland as well, was the stuff that he came out with. So we decided let's just get a load of quotes together, and we spoke to the WRC drivers, we spoke to friends, family. There's so many, the most important people in Craig's life, came up with those quotes, and we slapped them all over the car, and I think it turned out really, really well.
No, I think it was beautifully executed. I actually, unfortunately, missed Ravens Rock this year, but I did get to spend a great deal of time looking at the car a few weeks ago at Deja Vu Cork, and it's I'd seen the photographs and footage and stuff, but even up close, it's really, really well done, because it's not just the quotes of how they're laid out on the car and everything. It's really smashing to look at, and I think judging by the crowds I saw looking at it that day, I think there was a lot of appreciation for it.
That's the main thing. If we always said, if one person looks at that car and starts talking about Craig and has memories of Craig, then it's done its job. But I think it's been a lot, it's been way more than one person. Lots of people look at it, and some people were getting emotional at it, over at Ravens Rock, and other people were smiling and laughing and could remember when he said certain things and stuff. So yeah, it was nice. And look, it's so much of that's down to Andy Fanning, because it's Andy's car. And Andy put that car up, and it was actually a bit of a surprise to me. We actually had different plans for a different car, and Andy said no. And as a result of the Ravens Rock and everything else, and getting to know Andy, I've become great friends with the man. He is an absolute gentleman to his very core, and it's sad that I didn't. This is how I've got to know Andy better. I was great mates with Craig, but if I was kind of on the east, Andy had been on the west, and but Craig was in the middle type thing, So our paths never really properly crossed. I knew who he was, but we've become very, very close, and and he misses Craig dearly. So he's a great man.
Incredible work, man. Do you mind if I ask how you and Craig first met and how you first struck up a friendship?
We were so. My mother's from Offaly, so I'm regularly going back home to help the lads draw in bales and silage twice a year and all that sort of thing. And we were both massive fans of Father Ted. Craig,
you're in good company.
Craig could have written it, but I distinctly remember. So we both came from karting. I raced cadets and did JICA and Formula A, and Craig was a few years younger than me, but he came through the karting ranks as well. So we had that in common instantly, the karting stuff. But I distinctly remember when I interviewed him for WRC Academy. And he'd done the Fiesta, the championships and stuff like that. And there's a lot of rallying at home in Ireland, but it was the WRC Academy. It was the first round, and I made a Father Ted comment, and he replied instantly with the response, and we just hit it off from that moment on. And everything that he found funny, I found funny, and we became very, very close friends. But it was instant, and he, do you know something, lads? He never. I can promise you this. He didn't change. He was always had his feet on the ground. He was so humble, and he was so grateful for every opportunity that he had as well. He didn't take any of it for granted. He knew he knew the opportunity he had, and he knew that was an opportunity that other people would have loved as well. And he never ever took that for granted. And he did think about the people as well who didn't get the same opportunity he did, and not a lot of people do that. He was yeah, very, very humble man. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, I was prepared for that to be a good anecdote, but I didn't expect it to be quite that top tier. I mean, can you get the fucking hell Father Ted quote there
on a soundboard?
Do you know what? It was Father Ted and the Dunbelievables.
Oh, even better.
Like
Yeah.
John Kenny and Pat Short. I remember watching the Dunbelievables, the telly, and just roaring with laughter, or Brady's Kristen on YouTube, and that was just that was Craig's sense of humour. So we could sit and like watch that for hours.
Yeah. Brady's christening is absolute god tier. So I'm going to have to send that to you, Jamie. I don't know if I know you know your father Ted, but I think I'll have to introduce you to Dunbelievables.
Man.
There's people listening to this now. There's going to be like a Dunbelievables revival or something. There's taking loads of hits now on YouTube. What in the name of God is Brady's christening?
Genius. Pure genius. Go on, find it. That's all YouTube needs to exist for, to be honest.
And of course, you're completely right about that relatability, about, you know, his appreciation of the position he had and how lucky he was. I mean, is at the end of Rally Australia 2018 when he finished 4th in the C3 WRC, when he was, you know, so emotional and choked up, just trying to express how happy and lucky he was to be driving the new generation cars. And it's just, I don't know, you know, I mean, so relatable to every rally fan. What a fella.
Yeah, he was a human being. And he wasn't, you know, James Coleman said it didn't matter if he was walking through a field in Chlevoux or walking down the street in Monte Carlo, and, you know, he didn't care. And Craig he just wanted to go rally. Like it, and he loved the historics. He loved rallying at home in Ireland. You know, the reason he was doing the WRC was just because he was too good not to be in it. You know, he was that good, but it didn't matter it wouldn't have mattered to him whether he was rallying, you know, a Nissan Micra, or if he was doing a WRC car, as long as he was in the seat rallying. And, you know, that was one of the things that made him so real, was he just loved the sport. He loved it, and as I said, he never took it for granted, and realised he was very lucky as well.
Yeah, I think that's why, you know, he was so special to, you know, to us on the outside looking in as fans. It wasn't just watching another quick driver like there was, you know, so many before. We felt like we were along that journey too, that we were part of that journey, because ultimately that relatability was there, and we felt like we were on for the ride, rather than just, you know, watching some bloke competing at the top level of his sport.
Yeah, lots of people said that, and look, that's all credit to at the end of the day, to Jackie and Ray, who are two amazing human beings, and Kelly as well. And you know, they're just Jackie is just the loveliest person you'll ever meet in your life. She's just typical Irish mammy, you know. And Ray, I think he wouldn't mind me saying this, put that competitive side in Craig. So he was just the perfect mix, I suppose, is like, for want of a better way of putting it. And, you know, we've got a lot to thank them for giving us Craig Breen, because and listen, he did so much for the World Rally Championship. I think, you know, he brought personality. When we got to the end of the stage, you didn't get, I'm not saying this is what you do get with other drivers, but you didn't get that kind of pre-mixed answer, you know. With Craig, he was honest, and you didn't know. He would either make you laugh or he'd make you cry, you know, and it was real. And so he did an awful lot for the sport as well.
It wasn't straight out of the media training playbook at the end.
Yeah, I mean, what was it he said?
There's an anecdote there.
The giggling pin fell out of the laughing shaft. We put it back in, it'll be all right. You know, like, who comes up with that? And we need more of that. We do need more of that, like quality, pure quality. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, objectively, that is a really wonderfully bizarre quote as well. I love it. Surreal.
Yeah, it was great.
And just to before we kind of finish up on Ravens Rock, I guess, what was the experience for you like in the car, Mike? Because I know, look, you've done, you know, no small amount of pedaling fast machines over the years, and like I said, you'd been behind the wheel of a rally car. You've been on both sides of a rally car in relatively recent past. But given that it was, you know, such an emotional event, but then to get behind the wheel, you still had to be, you know, somewhat on it as well, you know, because it's a powerful machine on tight Irish tarmac roads, and it looked like you and Sean had a great time in the car. Look, a lot of laps, but a lot of emotion there too. But what was the experience like for you from the driving perspective then as well?
It was honestly like it was just about get around. We weren't trying to set the world alight. I didn't want to bend Andy's car, and I didn't want to damage the livery, because the idea was that everybody saw it and everybody could see it at some point of the day and everything, and take pictures. So I didn't want to, but it was important that it got through the stages. So I didn't want to bend it. That being said, we had a bit of a dig in one stage. I think we were second or third quickest in class, which, and then, there was weird things that happened. We picked up 2 punctures after the end of one stage, like right after we'd crossed the finish line. As we'd gone through the finish boards, the rear left went, we changed it, drove 100 meters, and the front left went. Why that didn't happen in the stage, I've got no idea. And straight away, I was just thinking to myself, it's Craig trying to tell me something here, like I'm getting a bit big for my boots, just rein in a little bit here, Pedro. And then, it was beautiful, because all around the stages there was, CB 42 and all that kind of stuff. So Craig was definitely there, and it was so nice to see. And it was a privilege for me to be a part of that, but to also see really how much the Irish fans thought of Craig as well, because there was, as I said, around, you maybe do get through 3 or 4 sections of corners, and then you'd see CB again, or hashtag 42 or something was there. So it was really emotional. It was a privilege, and for me, I really enjoyed it. At the same time, I really enjoyed it. When I climb into a rally car or a race car, I still get the same excitement that I did when I was jumping into a Cadet when I was 8 years old. It's still there. So I did enjoy it, but it was a different kind of enjoyment. It was an emotional day.
And with Rallylegend now, is that sort of a continuation of what you went to Ravens Rock to do? Is that one of the reasons that you're attending this event and in that car, or how did your attendance and that car with Andy come about this time around?
Well, Craig was a massive fan of Legend. He'd done it a few times before. He was going to do it again this year. And Andy, not many people know this, but that Skoda had just been, it was rebuilt for Ravens Rock, and Andy had never driven it. So I was the first person to drive that car. And I didn't realise that until like a day and a half beforehand. So I'm thinking, this Andy Fanning is mad, like either that or the most trusted man in the world. But to let me loose in it, and but that's the kind of human being that he is. He's just, and we've just become very, very close friends. And Andy and Ray and James Coleman, they're all great friends. They're doing Rallylegend as well. Ray is going to be there in the Subaru Legacy, which is brilliant. He'll be a massive hit with everybody who's there, so that's great. And Andy just said, "Look, Chenny, I'm doing Legend. Do you want to come and sit in the car?" And I said, "I'd love to." And for me, and I know for Andy, it will be an emotional. It can't not be when you look at the car. You can't not think of Craig, and you can't not have that feeling. But it's all for the right reasons. And again, if we can just get, if one person comes and looks at it and smiles and remembers Craig, then it's worth it. And I'm looking forward to the event. I'm looking forward to having fun with Andy and Ray and the guys, and Craig will 100% be along with us, no question.
I think you're spot on about the poignancy and the degree of sadness, but because of the way that the livery's been done and the tribute's been done so well, it's hard to feel. It's obviously very sad, but when you do feel very, very sad and morose, there's always a very hilarious Craig as heck tribute quote coming up, in a few panels later. So it's hard to be too morose for too long, and I'm sure there's no way that's not going to be well received in Rallylegend itself.
Yeah, I hope so. I think so, and I think as well, knowing Craig as I did, I was very lucky to know him as well as I did, as to call him a friend and to speak to him regularly on the phone and stuff like that. He wouldn't want us to all be sad. He'd want us to remember him and to enjoy what we're doing and to laugh and have fun. That's what he did. That's what Craig Breen did. You know, he was able to see the positives and stuff, even when he was going through some really dark times in his career and stuff like that. He was still able to find a positive in things. And you know, as I said, if someone looks at that car, remembers Craig and talks about him, then it's job done. And look, the car is a running tribute, but there's so much more, I think, and I hope to come. You know, that will bring is far more about Craig's legacy than Andy's Skoda. It will always be there. The quotes will always be there, and it's a very, very special start. I think a start to a future where we have. I mean, hopefully we can get a rally. We can get all the WRC drivers over to Ireland to do an event, and I think that would be great. And I know there's people working on that in the background, and that would be a great memorial as well. And more than that, working with Motorsport Ireland, I think what's going on in Ireland now with rallying is unbelievable. The support for young drivers, what's going on over there in terms of bringing the future on in Ireland is enormous. It's similar to, you know, the FFSA. So I think there's a massive, there's a really bright future for rallying in Ireland, and for, you know, you've got young Josh McAleen and all those guys coming through. I think the future's bright, and I think Craig Breen had an awful lot to do with inspiring those young people. And I think hopefully with things that will come, we'll continue to inspire them.
In Rallylegend itself, is it an event you've been to yourself in a previous capacity?
No, and apparently it's hard work just finding your way to the start of the stage. Honestly, I think we're probably just going to end up stopped by the side of the road for a pint somewhere, lads, because I don't think we're going to make it to half the stages. I'll be lost. I'll be Andy, I'm sorry, I'm lost. We're lost somewhere in San Marino. But he's the sort of man who'd laugh at me and say, "Come on, we'll go for a pint." He doesn't drink, we'll go there, we'll enjoy ourselves, and it's a privilege to be asked by Andy to go and do it. He has become a great friend of mine, so We'll have a lot of fun, and as I said, we'll be there for all the right reasons.
Fantastic.
And with a bit of luck, I don't do a terrible job.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine.
I don't share your optimism, Cillian.
We'll be there to look out for you either way. So
yeah,
you'll have it.
We'll be there to laugh at me. Is what you mean.
Well, you sat beside Elfyn Evans in a full fat World Rally car calling notes, so I'm sure this will be a walk in the park in comparison.
I think what you've seen is the edited version.
That was the third take.
and Elfyn was very, very patient.
What's on the cutting room floor?
Yeah, a lot.
That's why that shakedown stage looked even shorter than normal.
yeah, it was. Yeah, but it was that was a cool thing to do. I've said to Andy, don't expect much, and he just said, I'm not, and that was the end of the conversation. So yeah.
Well, you know, this particular event, Mike, you know, there's no shortage of these kind of show and historic events these days. You know, Eiffel, Alsace, etc. But this always seems to shine brighter. And look, obviously you're deeply entrenched in, you know, the motorsport world and rallying. You know, why do you think people are drawn to this particular one so much? What's the attraction of this one over the others? I
think that you tend to. You tend from the start. You've tended to get big names there. I think there's been an awful and there's been an element of freedom in it. You know, you always see the shots of cars doing donuts, and there's a bit more of a show to it, which is great because I think for the fans they want to see those old cars going sideways. I mean, there were great shots of Craig throwing things around down there. You know, getting absolutely insane angles, and that's kind of what it's about. It's about putting on a bit of a show and running these old cars and for people to be able to see them. And as well, it draws a lot of the old legends of the sport. You know, you get those the heroes of the sport to come down and they're getting stuck in the machinery that they use to rally. And I think that's really nice for people because the golden days were very, very special days in rallying. You know, the mid 90s. You know, everyone knows about the Group B era, but even, you know, Group A and then into the 90s, into the early WRC cars, you know, people love them. People love those cars. When we had 10, 11 manufacturers in the sport, it was amazing to see those cars running. So I think Rallylegend kind of encapsulates all of that era of that era a little bit. So that's nothing against any of the other events that run, and they're all amazing. We all have to see the cars, but I think it's just a really well organised event, and the weather probably helps a little bit, even if we'll end up getting sunburnt. But you know, like I think it's just a cool event, isn't it?
Is it an event you've heard WRC drivers talking about, you know, in your capacity, you know, commentating on the WRC? You know, have you actually heard, you know, the likes of Ogier or so talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, Craig loved it for a start, and he was a fully fledged WRC driver. So
of course, yes.
He used to talk about it a lot. Thierry Neuville's mentioned it a few times, so yeah, I've heard people talking about it. As I said, I'm excited to go. I think it'll be great crack, and we'll enjoy ourselves, and yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I hope that we don't end up getting too lost, and more importantly, people come and see the car and take it for what it is, you know, and look at it and smile. That's what we want.
I think it'll give people a lot of smiles out there. I know it's given us a few, and there'll be a huge amount of Irish in attendance there, as there tends to be anyway. But outside of that contingent, there's going to be plenty more, because obviously he was loved right across the world. So Mike, thanks so much for coming along. We'll see you out there. We'll be sure to wave the flag as you pass us. It'll be the one with square spelt wrong on it, just if it will make it stand out. And
are you going to own up to being the one who misspelt that? I don't want my name attached to that.
Oh, well, it was me that misspelt it. Yes. And yeah,
I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, and let us know where the session is on Sunday night, and we'll buy you a pint.
100%, definitely.
Oh, mate, thanks for coming on board, bud.
Oh no, thank you for having me, fellas. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike, so much. Okay, so joining us next is one of the biggest entertainers Jamie and I witnessed at the 2022 edition of Rallylegend, Norway's own Ole Christian Veiby, incredibly talented rally driver, rallycross driver, and 2019 Norwegian rally champion. Now, at the time of recording, Ole Christian is in South Africa preparing for the next round of the 2023 World Rallycross Championship, which is resuming after a bit of a break. But well, I'm sure he's focused on the upcoming event at Killarney Raceway. I wonder, is there a chance he's already thinking about how many sets of tyres he can destroy, flinging an S1 supercar around the hills of San Marino in a few days' time? Ole Christian, thanks so much for joining us on the Rally DNA podcast. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. No, it's good. You know, I'm in South Africa, and it's a nice place. I've never been here before, so it's a new, completely new experience, and yeah, a new place for me. But I must say it's very, very beautiful here, and yeah, the people here are so kind, you know. And I was at the track yesterday and had a look, and yeah, they're preparing the track for this weekend. So it's looking good. It looks like a nice track.
Cracking stuff. So we're here to talk about Rallylegend, which obviously you were at last year, and again competing or taking part in next weekend coming. I've heard it said that you described last year's Rallylegend as perhaps the most fun you've ever had in a car, which is obviously quite a statement coming from someone such as yourself with years of rallying experience. Quite simply, why so? What was so good about it? I mean, it certainly looked like you were having a good time.
Yeah, that was definitely not a lie. I mean, yeah, it's like you said, I had so much fun last year, and you know, every time I show up into a competition, you know, it's always about, you know, focusing and doing your best, and then you know, getting into bed early, and you know, keep energized. And but Rallylegend, you know, there is no timing for us, since we are in this I don't remember the name of this show class, you know, this legend, I don't remember, but it's no timing, you know. We just do whatever we want. We have like a crew that is following us with like a chase car, you know, between every stages, because we are driving the supercar rallycross car. So the fuel tank in that one is not so big, so we have to refuel, you know, before and after every stage, especially the longest one there. I think it's around 10 Ks. So we can barely do the stage with that car and with that fuel tank. So we have to refuel, you know, before and just at the finish. So I know it's like I said, I had so much fun. It's no serious, just about putting on a show for the spectators and go sliding and, you know, rev limiter, and you know that car that I'm driving is so extreme. You know, it's even much faster than the WRC car. And you know, I've done a couple of rallies in a WRC car also, so I know how that is. And then for sure, that's a lot of fun as well. But then everything is so serious. You know, you're so focused. You know. But here it's just Rallylegend is just about having fun, and that was really, really nice for once to just go to a rally and have. Only thing is the only goal is to have fun, and we managed. And then I guess some people have seen some videos and what we did last year. I think everyone liked what we put on, and yeah, this year I think we know a little bit more what we're going into and how to. Let's say do it even better for everybody, you know, because it's not so easy with the tires. I mean, it's a car that has over 600 horsepower, and yeah, you have to save the tires somehow a little bit, but you know, that is very, very difficult. You just want to pull the handbrake every time and just go full throttle. So Matthias Ekström, he did it back in, I think it was 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did it with the same car, but he tuned down the engine a little bit. And then when Joel, our team boss, when he asked me if what we should do, and I said no, we're not tuning down the engine, we're going full power, and it just have to work. So, and it worked. I mean, I retired I think on the second to last stage with a turbo issue, but anyway, we did almost the whole rally. So it's probably the most fun I've ever had in my life in a rally car or rallycross car or whatever.
Fantastic. It was incredible, man. I mean, some of the scenes, like, you know, me and Cian can vouch for you. You certainly didn't look like you were sparing the tires or the fuel level at any time. I mean, and just watching you know, catching Delta S4's hand over fist time wise as well. I mean, it's bizarre in the best way possible.
Yeah, you know, there is a video where we are like we are overtaking this Lancia Delta in a long hairpin. I think that
we were there.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
One corner further down.
Yeah. I didn't know. But that video that we posted on Instagram, I don't remember, but I think it has a couple of million views. So I mean, it's
amazing.
Something that people really liked. So and we actually, me and Jonas, my co-driver, we spoke about it because we started behind all of these Lancias and Corollas and everything. So I mean, we spoke because we catched during a stage, we catched 2-3 cars every stage, and we're like, it was almost a bit fun, you know, to catch cars. Shocked when we came behind them and just passed them, you know, in like because they didn't drive fast, you know, they just wanted to finish the stage, and you know. So we passed them, you know, in some extreme speeds, and then we also spoke about it before. I don't know, it was that stage, but maybe the stage earlier or whatever. We spoke about that. It would be so fun to catch one of these cars in a hairpin and just go around it on the outside, and that's exactly what we managed to do one stage later. So that was a big achievement.
That's amazing. That must be what it's like, because I remember being there, and I have a video I can send it on to you from that hairpin, and it's just the camera. It was actually someone else took the video who was with our group, and he's just focused on this Lancia coming, and then all you hear is this explosion of noise, and the S1 just appears full sideways as the Lancia looks like it's barely moving. You know, it was incredible to watch.
More of the same.
Super fun.
I guess what you're saying is
we can do it again this year.
Oh, for sure. And I guess what you're saying is the lesson you learned is bring an extra truck of tires for this event.
Yeah, I think we're bringing something like 50 or 60 tires, but that's for 2 cars then. But I mean, it's a lot of sets of tires. So, and we learned that we can drive a little bit with harder compound, because we, like, in the end we tried a set of the harder compound, and that worked pretty well, because even though it was not so hot at long stages, our car, it produces a lot of temperature into the tire. You just do a launch off the start line, and then you have the temperature that you need to make it work. So it wasn't an issue, and these are some things that we learned for this year. So I think we arrived this year with a little bit more prepared, and we know what we're going into. So that's going to be super cool.
Is there much changes that have to be made to those supercars? Because obviously, running it up a rally stage it's outside of its normal habitat and the way you would normally prepare one of those cars for a run. Is there much work that has to go into those beforehand, or is it just a case of bolt on the tires and stiffen the suspension and go?
No, it's not so much work actually, and that's a good thing about Rallylegend. The organizers there, they are super nice and are helping us to make this possible, because a rallycross car is not made for rallying. It's like I said, with the fuel and etc. We have to be able to refuel before and after the stage, and also we don't have any lights on the car normally, and then we have a brake light, but we don't have any front lights, that you are actually supposed to have on a rally car and should be on, at every time. So we get a kind of a, what do you call it, disposal, or what do you say, like a permit to drive without. And then, because we do also stages in the dark, and then we just put on a light pod from a rally car, from a Skoda R5 actually. So it's not so much to do. And then also to fit a co-driver seat, of course. But it's not so much space there, so it's a bit, it's not so easy for the co-driver, and it gets so hot inside the car also, because the exhaust temperature is so high in this car. So there's some small challenges, but it's possible. So it's not so much work, but it's super cool that they allow us to do it, and that we're also possible to do it.
What did you expect before your first visit to Rallylegend? And did you think it would be quite as much fun as it turned out to be?
No, not. I don't know what to say, but not really. I knew that it was going to be extreme. I know the car from before, because last year I did this Rallycross Nordic in that car. So I know the car. I know how extreme it is. I know how fun it is to drive and how fast it is. But I didn't expect that atmosphere. And then, all the spectators, everyone is cheering, everyone is just going crazy. And also one thing that surprised me is that I've done a lot of rallies, like I said, WRC cars, R5, and everything, but I haven't been tagged in so many Instagram videos as I was in Rallylegend last year. So and we really wanted that, because we wanted to see, how we tackle those corners, and was super. It's cool to see from the outside also, and not only feel it from the inside, because you want to see how you're thinking on the inside of the car, that must have looked super cool, and that must look crazy. And then when you are able to you just finish the stage, and then you take up your phone and you go into Instagram, and I see that I get tagged like in 10-20 videos on one stage, So that was super cool to get that feedback, and also to see how crazy all the spectators are there. And also another thing is also to see those super cool cars that they have. They're coming with all WRC cars, everything from old Corollas to also some newer WRC cars. There was some 17 specs WRC cars there, and Lancias and Audi Quattros, and you name it. So you have everything there, and they are so in good shape. You know, that was super cool to have a walk around that football stadium or whatever it was, where all the cars were lined up that was doing the rally, and just to walk there and just see how many cool cars there was. That was also impressive.
And was it you who convinced Johan Kristoffersen to come along this year? Were you selling it big time to get him going this year now as well, showing him all the Instagram videos?
Yeah, actually, I think it was. I told him last year that this is so cool. So and everyone in our team, they said it looked so cool to be there, and then I said it's the most fun I've ever had. And I said to Johan that we had to do it together. And then he said, yeah, we need to do it. And then he found some sponsor to help him also make it possible to do it. And here we are. And then, but I told him that if we're going to do it, you have to promise me one thing before we're going down, because both me and him, we are so competitive. We are competing in everything you can imagine. I mean, we are so good friends also, and we hate to lose. So I said to him before that he was going to do it, I said, you can come on if you promise me one thing. We're not gonna look on any stage times. We're not gonna do that. Everything is all about putting on a big show. I mean, we can compete in how good show and how big slides that we are putting on for the spectators. And then he agreed on that after all. So that was the thing that I said that he had to accept, because Rallylegend is not a competition. It's just about pure show, and I don't want to make it a competition. I just want it to be like we did last year, to just put on a big show.
That's uncanny. You predicted what I was going to ask next about whether you were going to have a competition between you two about who could do the biggest slide or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the thing that we can, because at least like it was last year. Then I was tagged in so many videos, and because I did also the rally, with PG Anderson, and he had the same car. So we had a small competition that who did that corner the best, who had the biggest slide, and because we were tagged, in videos, both of us. So that was cool. I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest competition in Rallylegend this year, to compare to each other and see who did the best.
Well, we'll make sure we'll get some videos of you two guys, and we can send them on.
We need some boards to hang it up with a scoring system like the Olympics.
Yeah, you have to do that.
And you spoke of all those other the wonderful selection of cars, and to be lining the stadium. But having done it now in the Rallycross Supercar, is there any other car you could possibly think of doing that event in, or is it just spoiled by doing it in the Audi? Could there be any more fun?
I don't know, to be honest, but I have some dreams in my life that I want to do some rallies in some cars, but I don't know if I want to ruin Rallylegend with that. And I think I can do maybe some other rallies with those cars, but because I don't know how we can put up even bigger show with another car. So it's so extreme to be driving those cars on a rally stage. So I mean, both yes and no. For sure, I would like to do some other cars. I mean, it would be cool to do in like a proper Porsche GT3 or something like that. I've always dreamt about doing a proper tarmac rally with that. Or because my father, he used to own Skoda Fabia WRC car. So, but he sold it before I was even old enough to drive it, and actually also before I started my rally career. So it's starting to be many years ago. So I always, when I was young, I was always watching that in our workshop, and I was like, I always dreamt about driving that car. but I never managed to do it. So that's also a car that I would like to do a rally with once.
Solid answer that. Do you ever, given the caliber of drivers who attend Rallylegend from all eras, do you ever get starstruck at regroup? Does the sort of the teenage rally fan and you sort of come out and you want to ask Juha Kankkunen for autographs or ask him anything?
Yeah, both yes and no. But I think most of the guys I know from WRC, so I think those years have passed a little bit, but when I was younger, definitely when I met them, in in the WRC paddock, because I probably grew up, in the WRC paddock, so I know pretty much everyone, and but yeah, it's cool that they also come to do Rallylegend. I mean that those guys are showing up and wants to do it, and I think the reason for that is that they like this rally. They like the historic thing about it, and also just to put up a big show. So it's cool that some famous old drivers also are showing up there.
I'm sure Juha won't thank you for calling him old.
At least they're a bit older than me.
Well saved.
Just a bit. Ole Christian, thanks so much for coming on for this chat. It's been great to talk to you. We look forward to seeing you out there when this episode goes out. It'll be a few days away, but for us right now, it's next week. We wish you the very best of luck for your race this weekend in Killarney Raceway in South Africa, and we're looking forward to seeing you do some big skids. We'll have to get those scoreboards out for you guys.
Yeah, I do that. Thank you. Now it's always a pleasure to talk about Rallylegend. I can do that forever. I speak about it too much with people because I'm so excited about it, and I'm so much looking forward to get back there. So yeah, looking forward to see you there.
All the best.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
So, Philip, what did you make of that? Sounds like he's as excited as we are.
Oh, definitely, and I know this is obviously an audio broadcast, but he was grinning from ear to ear throughout, just reminiscing about it. So you can tell that he's really pestering people ever since about the quality of the event and going out, looking forward to going and have some fun. So definitely him and Johan in those two S1 supercars, the EKS RX cars, is going to be another true highlight of this year's event, and I can't wait personally.
Exactly, man. Same here. And let's face it, you can't put on that kind of passion, as you say. He clearly felt it, and can't he wait? And it's going to be great to watch him. I mean, yeah, we're saying fun seeing if he can top last year's sideways histrionics.
It certainly seems like he's going to try, but if he can manage to top what we saw last year, it'll be very, very special indeed.
Well, Andy also let slip a spectator tip. If you want to see him go particularly sideways, you've got to go for the shorter stages, so he knows he's got fuel in reserve.
I couldn't get over that. Even I know obviously rallycross cars have a tiny fuel tank, but the fact that you can barely make it through a 10k stage, is insane.
Yeah, talk about optimized for one particular discipline, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it'll be grand. Can't wait, and I'm sure everyone listening, if you're lucky enough to be going, feels the same way.
Last to join us now for a slightly different perspective is someone travelling with us to Rallylegend this year, our friend and talented wielder of a camera, Cian Donnellan of at Speedhunters and of at Taking Photos and all that. How are you doing, Cian?
Good evening, gents. Great to be chatting to you, and looking forward to getting on road to San Marino next week, and the absolute madness that is probably the wildest rally in the world, and a party where a rally just sort of breaks out every once in a while, really.
What's it like from a photographer's point of view? Like, how does it compare to other historic events you've done in terms of being able to get up close and getting choice photos and stuff and vantage points?
I was only thinking about this earlier before you messaged me, and I'm going, it's probably, on one hand, it's the best event in the world to shoot, and on the other hand, it is the single most frustrating thing from a photographer's point of view. So, like, it's fantastic the range of cars, the Italian, Hungarian, the emotion of the fans, and the absolute madness that you can capture in a weekend. But it's it's so frustrating because you go to an event and in your head you're going, right, I need to get a picture of the winner, and I need to get a picture, a really good picture of one of the big entertainers. You go to a Legends and you go, I need Paolo Diana absolutely on the ragged edge. I need a couple of pictures of the big stars, and you go, that's fine. And you get out to the stage, but what is the most frustrating is you've no idea what's coming around the corner next. There is no rhyme or reason or road order or start list or anything. And you can get into a position and you go, I can get a good shot head on or of the corner. But if it's like a load of the more, let's say like I remember the first year the year that I was there, the road opened with the real historic guys, the like really immaculate Fiat 131s, a couple of Stratuses, and these are guys that are they're not pushing on, and you go, right, I can get a nice scenic wide angle shot, nothing major, but it's like, yeah, look, car scenery, nice. But then all of a sudden, here comes bloody Paolo Diana, and you're like in your wrong lens, wrong position, and you're going, oh, that's frustrating. And you go, right, you start moving and you change, and all of a sudden, then there's 10 ladders coming down the road, and you're going, it's very frustrating, but it's a first world problem because it's every incredible car you could ever want to shoot is coming at you, most of them at mental speed, and you have free will almost to sort of push the boundaries of safety. We shoot in a responsible place, but it'd be a lot less responsible than you might do on a rally at home, if you get me.
Absolutely. I mean, let's face it, that's the genesis of some of the best photos and the best content, right? I mean, it's the unspoken thing.
It was the thing that got me, because like I had a scenario when I was in Ypres, and it was like, so when I shoot an event, you almost do a risk assessment yourself, going, A, you don't want to get yourself damaged or injured. B, you don't want to get the camera and equipment damaged or injured. And C, you don't want to pose a risk to the driver that, you might distract them. So you work on that, which is fine. And I remember you'd have that down at home. And then I went to Ypres and I got quite heavily reprimanded by the police over a position that I was in. And I'm going, that's a very safe position, couldn't get my head around it. Then you go to Legend and you go, right, if I stand where I think is normal, I won't be able to see the road. Then you push yourself out a bit and you're like, right, this is exciting, this is on the edge. I'm here. I probably wouldn't do it 90% of the time, but we're here. But then you turn around and there's like 25 Hungarian men that are standing in the middle of the road. And you're like, oh, I guess I'm not. I guess I'm quite safe where I am here.
I think Cian had it best when he described it as it being as close as you get to Catalunya circa 1998 in the modern age.
It is, but then like I suppose I've seen events I've been to like Rally Hungary and stuff like that, and there is still elements of that, like probably, and you see Poland as well, like Rally Poland, when that got kicked off the calendar, there is that madness that's still there. I think where Legends is special is that you get these huge swathes of fans that travel in from all over the continent, all wanting to have a great weekend, and you get to understand that, right, there's an Irish level of a great weekend and we might have a fantastic party and we'll see the stages. There's the Spanish guys come in and they bring everything. The Finnish guys come down with their chainsaws. The Italians come with flares and beer. It's a fantastic mix. On top of all the cars, just the people that you meet that weekend, it's really special.
The great cultural exchange out there. You're getting a serious cross section at every corner of all nationalities and how they approach spectating a rally.
I'd forgotten the chainless chainsaws. I must admit that was a highlight. Yeah,
and the guy refilling the chainless chainsaw was smoking a cigarette as he pours petrol back into it while it's running.
It's Latin culture, isn't it? I'm led to believe.
Yeah, like all he's short is being on like a 3-wheeled Honda monkey bike, to really just go full danger. But it's mental then to see the reception then that, like, I always find it amazing when I go to a world event and you hear like these guys that we know at home or that we know local that come out to a world event, and it's a big story at home to us to look on and go, oh, like say now, like the MI Academy guys are doing a world event. When you're there and you're listening and you're hearing like people speaking in Spanish or French around you, and you're hearing Mackerline, Meek, and then you go, but you're over at Legends, and all of a sudden it's like Frank Kelly, and you're going, that's Jesus Frank that does half the events in Ireland, and you're so used to seeing the escort on every back lane and swiping every ditch, and has done rallies that Killian's competed on, has done countless events that we've promoted or run. And you go, over there now, it's like, oh, wow. You go, you should come over here and see when we've got 40 other of them competing. Like,
Yeah, what would they see? I don't know, on a typical modified entry list into West Cork. What would they think of that? Because there's like a hush. I know Frank isn't doing it this year, but like when people would realize he's coming up the road, there'd always be a hush fall over the crowd. Like it's him and Deanna are just like real. They're almost worshipped over there. I think that Frank will probably be quite missed this year, I'd imagine, given how many times he's done it.
yeah, and it's fantastic. Especially, I suppose, going back to the photography side of it is, you know that when these guys are coming, everything just amps up. Like there's the flares. Like it's probably it is. It's up there. My top 5 favorite photos I ever took was of Deanna. Like when you think of it, it was Deanna on a Thursday night at a roundabout between an industrial estate, a pub, and a football stadium in San Marino. Yet it's like the 131 full to the board sideways, like 5 or 6 red flares going off in the background, and it's like the absolute madness that these guys bring. And like it's not just Deanna and Kelly. It's like there's a couple of other local lunatics that come out, and like I remember the year we were there was guys that dragged like drift cars from across Europe to bring down to park in the service area just so they could go and just go messing at
Just do
night.
rings at
And
night.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I remember landing in. So like the year that I went to my own, had like no money. And a lot of my early days traveling to events was every penny was spent on getting to the event and then going, can we survive for the weekend? I think at one point the year that I went, I had something like, was it like €4.50 in my bank account? But I'm sat on the bank in San Marino, outside the stadium. So to my right is like Park Ferme, full of like every rally car that I've ever worshipped or dreamed or read about. To my left, there's service barges and everything is liveried up. And then right in front of me was Weaver Sport, and they were testing the anti-lag on a trio of Corolla WRCs. And the test was by reversing them out onto the main road, sitting on launch control and taking off at pace. And this is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you're going, yeah, this is worth having no money and the couple of weeks ahead where you're just eating rice cakes for lunch, sorry, and
The
you're
Coke and
going,
noodle
no,
diet.
yeah, and you're going,
Yeah.
but this is living, this is rally at its best. Like,
It's worth the beans on toast diet.
Yeah. I think you put it as succinctly as anyone could have done there, Cian, to be fair. Again, one for the San Marino Tourist Board. Again, I think. But yeah, it's truly special. And to be fair, it actually probably sounds a little bit wilder when you describe it in terms of the spectating action. There's, they are kind of wild and there's a crazy atmosphere, but I've never witnessed anything that would stop a stage at the same time. We've seen stages stop for bad spectating at home and on world events. There is a great deal of respect there because also these people want to see the rally run. Like they want to see these cars go through. So while maybe it's a little bit different to what you'd see on an ERC round or a local round or whatever, there's still a great deal of respect there. And I think there was no one really taking the piss, which is great to see as well, because they are proper fans.
it's almost like being in a sort of a football sense. It's like being in the ultra section behind the goal on like the Curva Sud in Rome, or like behind the yellow wall in Dortmund, or one of these mad mentalist full ultra zones. But you're going, I think there's a massive respect for, even with the organizers, like they've had bad days. It's like every event, they've had a couple of bad days, and they know they need to keep the event wild for it. It is what it is. But then at the same time, you see there's an awful lot of improvements that you see every year when you're looking at the coverage and you go, look, fans are that small bit more corralled, but still the drama is as good as ever. And I think people respect that. That like you go to certain events and you know it's more in like an event of the area and people will come out. And whereas Legends, because because there are no people in San Marino, well, apologies to people in San Marino, but you know there are very few people. Everyone is traveling just for that. It's not like the local guys are going to come out and the local youngsters on their mopeds are going to come out and cause wreck. Not everyone's here to watch these cars do stupid things, and us to come and enjoy it and photograph it and have an absolute blast.
So, having had a few years to stew from your first time there, Cian, what are you looking forward to most about going back this year?
I think actually the one thing is I'm looking forward to sort of reigniting a love for the sport. I think the last couple of years have been difficult, and I went to the Monte this year and I didn't overly enjoy it. And I know, in fairness, look, I photographed it well, and it was a great event to follow. But I need the buzz that I got that time 4 years ago. Like it's the one and only time that I came off a night event. I remember the first night, and I was staying in San Marino, up the top of the hill. And I remember going like, this is really special. And we had the night show, and it was I came home that evening and I put together an article that night. So it would be normally quite normal that I go to an event, focus on shooting, look at the stories later. But I remember that night, I think I'm going to say it was about 5 o'clock in the morning that I published, or I sent that article for publishing. And I'm going, this is the buzz that I had that night. I came back and you're tingling and you're going, this is brilliant. And even the next night then, it was like just this mental mad atmosphere. And then coming back in the road, and it was like every small strip of land that you could see inside the road and closed down petrol stations, there was just cars servicing. And the one that got to me was, I remember turning in to where I was staying, and it was a quiet little cul-de-sac. And you're going, right, it's away from the madness now, it's quiet, it's fine. And I went to turn into where I'd parked that morning, and there was a guy servicing two Peugeot 207 S2000s outside the apartment block at 1 o'clock in the morning. You're going, oh my God, this is magic.
Fantastic. Cian, that's I think that you reckon whatever about igniting a buzz, and we were excited before that, but I think you no, I really can't wait. Thanks very much.
No problem at all, guys, and looking forward to seeing you this time next week.
Yeah, we'll see you in the airport on Thursday morning, Cian. So, folks, that brings us to an end of this Rallylegend preview special. A couple of days after this goes out, we should be there picking our way through the fine selection of metal in the service park and enjoying the sights and sounds of rally cars from past and present, doing big skids through some hairpins, but enjoying some sweet, sweet cans. If you see us, come and say hello. And as always, thanks for listening. Drop a comment on our Twitter or Instagram about what you're looking forward to about this year's Rallylegend, and please rate us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Goodbye.
Goodbye all.